Hello and welcome to the 5th round of the Porsche PMR Cup series. Now this is a little bit different because we weren't actually here for the last round at Daytona. We are also live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube and Twitch, so thank you very much to anybody who's watching at any of those locations. It'd be brilliant to have you along. Hopefully we get some good racing tonight. We've got a slightly reduced grid, I think, and unfortunately the championship order wasn't really sent to me on time, and it seems a bit sort of hit and miss of the data that's involved with it. So as we see, Matthew Addy having a little bit of a spin. So unfortunately I can't really bring you the majority of that. I will try and I'll bring up what I have, but I'm not promising that it's gonna be correct if I just bring it up. Is it points current? Nope, it's points before potentially. Let's see if I can bring this up for you. Oh, it's just not gonna bring it up at all. But yeah. Anyway, we are at Snetterton, one of my favourite tracks, the Snetterton 300 track. It's underutilised in my opinion for a lot of championships. I think this is the first time I've actually ever covered it. And please let me know if I'm good volume, if I'd rather be louder, or anybody else want to be slightly quieter on the engines or anything like that. Please do make sure you leave a comment in the description or anything like that. You can do, that'd be really useful. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. As I said, we haven't got as many drivers as we started the series with, although we do have about 16, which is really great to see. None of the front three, as we could call it in the championship, the likes of Jamie Dory, Bobby Thompson, not Jamie Dory, sorry, Bobby Thompson. Oh my God, you can tell it's been a little while, can't you? That since I've done this. Just Josh Malin, Will Orton, and Bobby Thompson. None of those drivers seem to be here so far, so a bit of a shame. But hopefully, maybe they'll turn up in a little bit later and crack on. We have a few cars just rotating at the moment. They're just doing practice, feeling themselves in, making sure they're doing representative times, getting into the rhythm and all that sort of thing. Maybe doing some race runs or qualifying runs here and there. Thank you very much to Fraser Rostons, who's given a like on the stream, and Fraser Rostons, who's given a share, and also Bill Anderson, who's given the page a follow. Thank you very much for the follow on the stream. Brilliant to have you. It's a bit of a shame I wasn't here last week, but I was at the Yorkshire Wildlife Park for the Winter Illuminations, which were amazing. So if anybody has the opportunity to go there, I certainly would. Although I think they're sold out pretty much now until Christmas at least. But yeah, we are here tonight. Looking forward to it. This is the last one before the Christmas break, because if anybody is keeping up to date with where we are in the world, obviously it is Christmas, a bang on 7 days from now. So next Friday is actually Christmas. So this falls pretty much on the perfect week to have a break. We will be back, of course, the week after that for the 6th round, and I'd love to tell you where that is, but I don't think I've got the calendar sent to me either. But yeah, I'm sure wherever it is, it'll be awesome. They have got a cracking calendar so far. We've been so far to Donington. We're at Snetterton tonight. We have been to, I don't think they have Alton Park on the calendar, which is a bit of a shame. They were at Daytona last week. Spa on the 2nd round as well. So a couple of really good tracks to be going to. And as we're about to crack into qualifying, let's have a look and see where we are up to. As the drivers pull out of the grid at the moment. So Jamie Dory, you currently got on your screens at the moment. David Ward in the it's not supposed to, oops, sorry about that. Just trying to get, so a few of the cars might flash in and out. It's been a bit of a last minute thing today, unfortunately, due to the fact that I was trying to get the championship order sorted out, but with no avail, unfortunately. I can give you a brief rundown of what I think is a championship order. I believe Will Orton at the top of the table. This will be the first night that he's missed if he does indeed not turn up, which will be a great shame. He's on 126 points at the moment. Matt Allen, who is here tonight, is on 101. 89 points is David Ward. Josh Malin, who hasn't been here for the last 2 rounds, drops down to 4th place after dominating the championship. So I wonder what's happened to him. I think he said he might have been moving. So bit of a shame that he hasn't been able to come along. Bobby Thompson said he was struggling with time. He hasn't been here for the last 2 rounds either, so he's slipped down. Dave Newsham's overtaking him. Haven't seen Callum Newsham out there today. I have seen Dave Newsham. So maybe it's just the single Newsham we've got tonight. But a driver to look out for, as I said, probably tonight, if he does a good job, is David Ward, who we are currently following. He's in second place, the Fast Star driver, and if he has a good representative couple of races tonight, then he will be shooting his way to the top of the table if he doesn't greet us with his presence. Tonight, of course, as per usual, the PMR Porsche Cup Series, we have 2 sets of qualifying and 2 different races. The first qualifying dictates the grid order for the first race, so it's a 10-minute qualifying. And that'll dictate the grid order for the first race, as I said. And then we have a then we have another qualifying after a 15-minute race, and that dictates the positions for the second race of the evening, a 45-minute race, and it will be absolutely cracking, I'm sure. And the 45 minutes normally do tend to space themselves out, although we've had a couple of absolutely belting races. Spa, in particular, was a cracking one, between the front 3 of Bobby Thompson, Josh Malin and Will Orton at that time. Obviously, none of those 3 drivers seem to be here tonight. We have got a couple of new drivers that seem to have turned up, though, that I haven't seen before. Chris Knox is one. I'm quite often used to seeing Chris in the BSR MX-5 series. He sort of has a little dabble in and out of that every so often. So we know, well, I know he's a very, very capable driver indeed. We'll be keeping an eye out on his progress throughout the evening. And I've just realised that we need to move that qualifying timer right into the centre of our screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute my mic, leave you on board with Ollie Wayne at the moment, who's a professional pole sitter, and let you enjoy a lap with him. In fact, we'll go on board of Snetterton 300. This is joining on the back straight now, not the start-finish straight, so enjoy a lap with Ollie Wayne. So that was a lap with Ollie Wayne. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the timing state into the middle, so just have to deal with the back there. Here is Jamie Dory, who's had a little bit of an off, I think. Just driving up to his next lap, potentially. Just sort of trying to... no, he hasn't had a little bit of an off, though. He's just trying to circulate towards the back of the circuit and maybe get himself some room between himself and his teammate Lee Horney seems to be pulling up alongside, who hasn't set a lap time yet. David Ward has gone top of the pile. There are only 3 sectors here. David Ward has so far purpled 2 of them, the first and the third. Matt Allen, who has just gone top, purpled the second sector. So he's as Lee Horn struggles to avoid the Neil Memory, I believe that is. And Lee aborts the lap now, and maybe he just lets Jamie Dory through, and they're trying to just engineer themselves some space. They let a few cars through. Although Snetterton is quite a large track, it's still easy enough to maybe collect some sort of traffic here and there, and we'll see that especially in the 45-minute race. On board with Thomas Delaney here in the SVR Motorsport car as he gets a little bit of a draft from, I think that is Dave Newsham just ahead of him. Coming across the line, we have had 7 minutes nearly gone of this 10-minute qualifying session. So far, Matt Allen sits top of the pile, as he will sit top of the pile in the championship standings as well if he converts this into a race win. So 17 drivers here to play for this evening. Thomas Delaney goes a little bit wide into the hairpin, the second corner. Freddie Hewitt is currently third place. Michael Seal in fourth. So the fact that we are missing out on a couple of these sort of higher end drivers, shall we say, does mean that we're having the opportunity to see a couple of other drivers going for, I don't know what on earth Thomas Delaney is planning on doing here. Yeah, a hardware issue or something like that. It seems to be very odd. As a spin out the second hairpin sees one of the next gen cars turn around. Thank you very much to KT Eames for the like on the stream. Brilliant to have you along as per usual, KT, and a share as well. Fantastic. Thank you very much. If you're interested in more races like this, it's always worth giving the page a like or a share. We always try and cover the most action-packed stuff that we have on Next Gen especially. We cover quite a few of their series. We've done the WTCR before now. We've done the PMRE series. We're, of course, doing the Porsche PMR Cup at the moment. And basically anything they want to stick on a PC. If I've got the free evening, I will have it broadcasted on Jacko Racing, as well as the Next Gen Facebook page as well. And obviously my YouTube and Twitch accounts. If you are not following them, then I don't blame you, because I have never advertised them really. But you can go and check them out. I think my YouTube is linked in below, and my Twitch is under Classico Jacko. So by all means, the Next Gen cars seem to be doing a good job of spinning themselves around at the moment. Dave Newsham has gone second place, with Dave Ward actually taking pole position away from Matt Allen for now. In the salmon pink car at the head of the field. It's not salmon pink anymore, it's a Fast Star car. They would want that livery being shown off on stream, I'm sure, which is why we managed to get it loaded up as they come under the bridge and dipping to the right as well. It's a fantastic track to drive. It's where I got my first ever race, real life race win in a Ginetta G40. I was not exactly the fastest driver out on the circuit. I did get the fastest lap on the last lap when I actually eventually got the lead. But it was mainly thanks to the fact that a couple of other drivers threw themselves off, I'm not going to lie, but you'll take it. Always take it. And it broke the duck. So that was a great memories for me here at Snetterton. It's always a really tricky track, though, with Coram especially being a ridiculously difficult circuit. Corner, no matter what car you're driving. In these sort of rear-heavy, light front-ended Porsches, Coram is a very, very tricky corner, especially as you go down the gears, under-braking into the final corner. And speaking of the final things, we're into the final 7 seconds of qualifying, with David Ward still top of the tile, and Michael Seal has just crossed the line. He breaks the timing line to put himself second place. Dave Newsham is in third, and I tell you what, these drivers are very close to each other. Dave Newsham is only 9 thousandths of a second away from Michael Seal, and David Ward's going to manage to grab himself about a 10.5 away from second place. Matt Allen only 300ths of a second, and I tell you what, look at that. Colin Martin 1,000th of a second. Freddie Hewitt 7,000ths of a second. So between second and 6th place is, well, we're talking thousandths of a second, really, 100ths of a second. The biggest gap in that little gaggle of 4 cars at the moment is Matt Allen with 400ths. But I tell you what, Dave Newsham's just gone and put it on pole, so he's saved the best to last by the looks of it. Who else is on a fast lap at the moment? Michael Seal seems to be doing a good job. He's coming around in the midsection now. Just goes wide though, so it's not going to be him. What can Matt Allen muster out of the last couple of corners? Colin Martin is in the pits. Dave Newsham is now in the pits. Dave Ward not going any faster at the moment, but Matt Allen has set a green sector 1. He was in green sector 3 last time out. His sector 2 hasn't been so hot. Let's see if he can muster. It's really hard on the tyres, this sort of end section though. You've got to be really patient around the 3rd sector of Snetterton. You can get carried away. You can see that timer saying, oh, you're up on your times, you know, a couple of tenths up on your previous times. You really need to calm it down though and make sure that you're executing the corners, the braking zones absolutely to perfection, because if you get carried away here, And then you can lose all your time and even get it taken away from you if you're getting off track on that last corner. They're really strict on it in real life. They're just as strict on it in iRacing. iRacing clearly taking over Mr. Palmer's view of track limits. And Matt Allen comes across the line. It is quicker, but it's only quick enough to go third. And considering there's only hundredths of a second between everyone, that probably means that, it is extremely close. He's 800ths of a second away from David Ward, who sits in second place. Dave Newsham seems to have nailed himself a pole position. We'll be able to give you the full grid rundown order in a couple of minutes. An interesting result there. As I said, it wasn't here for Daytona. I haven't got the results for that either. No one sent me those through. But with any luck, come the round 6, we might be able to bring you the full order as and when it's available. And it's very interesting to see a couple of new drivers on the top of the... Dave Newsham, if anybody was watching in the first round of this PMR series, it's safe to say Brands Hatch wasn't the easiest time for him. I don't think he enjoyed himself too much at all. He was spinning everywhere, left, right and centre. He started to pick up some pace, pick up some consistency, and now you can see he's the best of the rest, as you could say. I mean, thanks to the fact that a lot of them haven't turned up, they're still able to get the job done. As Dave Newsham, we can see him on pole position there. David Ward in second place. Matt Allen, championship leader, if he can hold it all together, in third. Michael Seal in fourth place. Colin Martin in fifth. Freddie Hewitt in sixth. Ollie Waynes in seventh. Jochen Sigert in eighth place. Jeff Perkins ninth. Thomas Delaney in 10th. 11th is Sam Holman. And Jamie Dory is in 12th position. Further down, Neil Memory in 13th, Simon Clayton 14th, Lee Horn in 15th, Chris Knox in 16th, not setting a lap time, and Matthew Addy in 17th, also not setting a lap time. So here the drivers are the Fast R cars lining up all in a nice little row there. The next gen cars a little bit further back. Those two are probably the big teams to be looking out for. Dave Newsham on the front row of the grid. A position that he's fairly used to in real life, but the sim racing world, I don't think he's been there too often as far as I'm aware. Anyway, he could be telling me wrong. If he comes on the Discord ever, it'll be interesting to have a chat to a driver like Dave Newsham. He's one of the few real life drivers that we've got left, or sort of a big real life drivers, you could say, that we've got left in the championship, unfortunately. There are a few here and there, but hopefully we'll have a chat to a few more people. As the revs build, the lights come on, and it's Snetterton 300. We are about to go racing here on a Friday night, and it's an absolutely awesome start by Dave Newsham. David Ward hasn't got off the line at all in the Fast R car, and that's allowed Matt Allen and his teammate Michael Seal to get through. Going too wide, the Fast R cars into the first corner, but Dave Newsham has managed to cover everybody off with a great start. He's in first place as they go down into the first heavy braking zone. Nobody at all challenging Dave Newsham here, with Matt Allen just behind. And if he can get his head down, we've had a couple of crashes in the background. We'll come to them in a second. But the front four have really pulled away. And David Ward, he had a poor start off the line. Maybe able to have a quick look at that as well a bit later on. Remember, this is a 15-minute race. Straight after this will be a 15-minute qualifying session led into a 45-minute feature race. So this is only the beginning of the night, people, as they come towards Hamilton's now. Half the race, or half the circuit already done. I'm not sure about how many laps we're going to be able to get in this 15-minute period, or the 45-minute period. We'll have a good guesstimate as soon as we see some race pace from all 17 of these drivers. Chris Knox at the back of the field then. He's a driver that, as I said, I have plenty of experience watching in the MX-5s. Not too much in terms of the anything else, really. The KFC car looking rather smart, I have to say. Jamie Dory's made up 4 positions. I think that's down to the fact that we've had a couple of crashes, which we'll try and have a look at. But at the moment, let's have a look at Dave Newsham leading the field. And they just space each other out, so probably long enough for us to have a look at this start then. Dave Newsham with an absolute cracking. Matt Allen, you can see, just seems to fall behind. He doesn't have the car on the bite point just enough to be able to get through. And as they go through 3 too wide into the first corner, he wasn't able really to stack it back up. Soon after that, we had a crash from Sam Holman. Going around the first corner, what happens here? He's getting a bit shoved out wide, and that's Chris Knox off into the barrier by the looks of it. Oh, just outbroke himself, and that's why Jamie Dory went straight on. Sam Holman having an unfortunate turnaround there, I think. I think he's one of our real-life drivers as well. I think this is going to be how Ollie Wayne got caught up in the crash. minding his own business, nothing doing at the moment. And as he goes into the second corner, hits his braking zone, and then he's going to have a fast R-car career into the side of him. Really good for him, and then just turns around, taps another one on the next gen cars. Sam Holman now, at the moment, he's in mid-pack, 9th place. And this is the battle for 4th position. In fact, it might even be battle for 3rd position, with Michael Seal going very out wide, and that gives David Ward the opportunity to slot up the inside, and Freddie Hewitt, the fast star cars, really dicing with each other now, making sure that they're not, if one of them is going to win, if nothing else, try and make their way up the order. I don't think there is any team orders in this one. It'd be great to have a chat with a few of these drivers, because I do know they are keen in terms of their esports sort of outgoings. Colin Martin in the background there with Michael Seal as well under the bridge. Colin not able to just get past just yet. He's got Jeff Perkins for company just behind as well. So little battles here, there and everywhere as we start to sort of settle down into what will be the rhythm of this first race. We've had a Neil memory crash. What's gone on here? He's gone sideways on the outside. Not sure what that is. Oh, is that a spinning sympathy for Lee Horn? It is, yes, a Lee Horn. Flying around the outside. Oh, a little bit loud on the pedal, unfortunately, there. I think a little bit heavy-footed as he goes straight careering into the inside wall. Let's have a catch-up on our leader then. Dave Newsham, pole position man. Matt Allen has actually gone and put a fastest lap of the race in that previous lap, and that's why he's so close to Dave Newsham now. There's about 0.4 to half a second in it between these two drivers, but I'd say that's relatively close at the moment. It's brewing up to be a fantastic evening's racing, especially between the fast R cars and the likes of Dave Newsham really coming to the front. I can tell you what kind of results they got last time out. I think I've got them reliably sourced. So last time out at Daytona, we're having a look at Dave Newsham. He scored 11 points. So a bit of mid-pack there, to be honest. Not his finest hour. Although I think no one else scored. Yeah, we had David Ward. David Ward in 3rd place. He scored a race victory at Daytona. I can't see who scored a race victory. Oh, we had Ches Cleland. Ches Cleland. He was a race winner at Daytona as well in the first race of the evening. Didn't score any points in the second, so not sure what happened there, but I think he's not going to be turning. Well, he hasn't turned up tonight, unfortunately. If you're watching this, then by all means make sure you're saying hello. I'll try and read any and all comments. Have a chat to you. Obviously, without a second commentator, it is lovely to have a chat with those in the comments or those in the Discord as well. We'll be able to have a chat, hopefully, with a few of the drivers. That'd be brilliant as Dave Newsham comes across the line then to start the... I'm not sure. I was going to say start the X amount of laps, but I'm not actually sure how many laps we have at the moment due to the fact that we are running on time. But just over, or just about 6 minutes gone. So we are on lap 4, and I think we're going on time. Yeah, we are going on time. So at the moment we are on lap 4 out of however many we are able to fit in, basically. With a 1 minute 51 seconds, that means it's roughly, let's estimate, 2 minute lap and a 15-minute lap, which probably means we're going to get about 8 laps in. Apologies if my maths is horrendously wrong in that little guesstimate. But I think that's about the amount of time that we're going to get. So we're roughly halfway through, maybe 9 laps that will come of this race, this 15-minute race. And of course, we've got a 45-minute race a bit later on. I do have information on all these drivers to go through as we are doing the 45-minute race. And last time we had a chat to Adam McNally, which was a fascinating insight to how these cars handle, how they're different to, say, the MX-5s or the TCR cars as well. When we were at Donington, he came in, he had a bit of a moment, a big crash, and that's why he was coming in to have a chat with us. Freddie Hewitt then in the middle fast R car at the moment, he's actually gained 2 positions. Jamie Dory's gained 4. Chris Knox has gained 6. He's up from 16th to 10th position after having a couple of offs as well. and not actually setting a qualifying lap time. He is a long way off, though. The drivers ahead, 9 seconds behind the drivers ahead. And that last lap as well, Dave Newsham also set the fastest lap of the race. So Dave clearly not hanging about, although Matt Allen's just gone across the line to set the fastest lap of the race. 2 tenths behind now, and he seems to be settling in for the second place at the moment. Maybe he's just using the fact that he can get some slipstream to his advantage. Doesn't want to give away his advantage too early. He was only a tenth quicker than Dave on that last lap, and Davey knows how to lead a race, put it that way. He's done it plenty of times in his career. Jorgen Siggert, though, not a racing driver by heart. He's a racing driver fan at the Nürburgring. Looks like Chris Knox has had a little bit of a spin, and that's caused him to have a similar incident as they go into... Oh, he sends Ollie Wayne flying into the air. Ollie, who has been collected in 2 or 3 incidents tonight, can't catch a break at the moment. Gutting for him. We've had a Michael Seal crash as well. So Michael, who was doing really well, coming towards, I think it's Agostini. It is Agostini. Oh, just on the brakes, goes straight on. Maybe coming down the box a little bit too fast. Maybe hooking the outside wheels onto the grass as he was hitting the brakes there. But maybe we'll try and go back. As he comes out the corner then now, he's going towards Agostini, the hairpin, you can see all the fans there. Is he just... Oh, he dips a wheel on the grass. That sends him a little bit sideways, and that's the last thing you want to do. He rejoins in 8th position, losing 4 places. Unfortunately, Ollie Wayne has had yet another crash. What's happened to him here? None of these crashes, apart from potentially this one, oh, potentially that one, have been his fault at all, really. You do have to feel sorry for Ollie. Matthew Eddy has had a crash. Look at the beating up front end of his Porsche there. Coming towards again, Agostini under brakes. What's happening to him here? Is he just over-rotating the car? Yep, his back end getting a bit too light, ironically, because it's so heavy. And turning around a little bit quickly there. So this is still the battle for the front of the order. Here's Colin Martin in up to 5th place now, where he started. Down into Agostini, Matt Allen and Dave Newsham go then. Newsham absorbing this pressure well, not really worrying too much about the car behind him. It's exactly what you need to do when you're in the lead of a race. Just make sure you're hitting the braking zones, you're hitting your brake markers, the right amount of pressure, you're not doing any silly lockups, hitting your apexes, the turn-ins, good. Make sure you just remember all the basics that you need to do. Just get into the rhythm. There's nothing that changes from following to leading a race. And Dave Newsham will know that down to a T as well. Be really interesting. We haven't got Callum Newsham here today. So Dave is on, but his son Callum doesn't seem to have turned up tonight. So I'm wondering why that is. A bit of a shame, because we had an absolutely cracking lineup on the grid for this series. And a few drivers just dropping away a little bit. We still have 17 awesome drivers there. Chris Knox has gone down to last place. Was that after one of his few spins? Potentially. I can't see what the big deal there is. Doesn't seem to be a big deal. Just seems that everybody is passing him. That's Matt Allen. Passing, apparently, Chris Knox. So I think Chris Knox was just diving into the pit. If we can focus on him. We can't seem to focus on him, so maybe he's left the session, which would be a great shame. Yeah, he seems to have stopped, so Chris Knox jumping out the car by the looks of it. So here is the gearbox view of Dave Newsham's car with Matt Allen trying to hunt him down at the moment. Just having a look on the rest of the field. Jamie Dory against Sam Holman's heating up nicely. Let's have a quick look at that. See the beaten front end of that Porsche next gen car. Really trying to hunt down Sam Holman. This is from Holman's gearbox perspective. With Jamie really closing in as they duck into the corner. Difficult corner, that one. They'll run a little bit wide. You can end up, well, wide on the apex. You can end up really washing a long way wide. Fast R911 really trying to put in. They're both got quite a lot of damage on. It's unfortunate if we... I don't know if we have a fast repair or not. I think that might be why Chris Knox has been a couple of laps down for a while now. Different lines going into that corner there. We're going to go on board with a lap with Matt Allen. And if he's watching this, then Matt, if you are watching this, then try and put a bit of a show on, because we're about to go on board for you for an entire lap here, so we can have a chat about what he's getting up to. To come round Coram, then one of the trickiest braking zones in motorsport, in my opinion. Down onto the start-finish straight now, so let's go on board with him and try and follow him as he tries to make a move on Dave Newsham. We have got 13 minutes out of the 15 completed. We're on lap 8. We're going on to lap 9. Soon, I think we'll probably get the full 9 laps in. The second apex is the more important one, and that is the one that both of them meet, really. Dave Newsham seems to favour going for the early apex as well, maybe a bit more of a front-wheel drive approach from it. Late apex from Matt Allen, trying to get the car a little bit straighter and on the power a little bit cleaner, that means. The straighter the wheel, the more power you can apply. A little bit of a later apex from Dave Newsham as well. Matt Allen go for the line I favour, really. Just tucking in and hugging the apex all the way around as we go down into Agostini. Late on the brakes there. Matt Allen going a bit hotter. Again, going for that later apex. Dave Newsham just trying to middle that corner a little bit. Going into Hamilton's then. Fast left-hander. A bit deceiving, though. It's not as fast as you would like to appreciate. Down into Oggies. Oh! Dave Newsham's gone wide into Oggies. Dave Newsham has lost the lead of the race into Oggies. The pressure has finally told. And luckily for him, he was just about far enough in front to not lose out on any of the positions. But now he's got David Ward just behind him. Freddie Hewitt as well, lining up to try and take a move on the pole sitter. Matt Allen will be licking his lips because he's got a 2.8 second gap now, pretty much. Back to the second place battle, which is Dave Newsham. So we're going to keep an eye on Dave as we go through the rest of this race. We've had a Simon Clayton crash, and it's not surprising with the car looking like that. Looks more like Herbie fully loaded as he goes straight into the grass. And is he going to come back on and hit Matthew Addy? Yes, he is. Nothing Matthew Addy could do about that. He thought he'd avoided him perfectly, but then Simon Clayton comes all the way back on circuit and goes careering straight into the other driver. So the 15-minute timer has just about ticked over. We've managed to cross it. Matt Allen crossed it with about 5 seconds to spare, meaning this will be the last lap. The 9 laps will be run to its fullest, and Dave Newsham gets a little bit loose on the back end there. Will this give David Ward the impetus to go to the inside? No, David Newsham tries to call that off. Just about makes it sick as well as David Ward goes a little bit wide into the hairpin. How are they going to do? He's going to know Newsham that he's under an awful lot of pressure. Matt Allen now with a 2.3 second gap. He doesn't need to push too hard, does Matt? He's in the lead of this race on the final lap of the race as well. We've had another spin in the background. I think Simon Clayton's gone for another little pirouette. Coming round the Agostini then into Hamilton. Dave Newsham still holds on to the second place. With David Ward in third. David Ward in third place. Freddie Hewitt in fourth. Colin Martin holding his position off the grid in fifth position. Thomas Delaney is the other driver that's held his position. And Neil Memory in 10th and 13th respectively. Going down into the bridge section. Really tight on the left there. Open up the right-hander. Clip the curb just enough so you're not hitting that inside sausage. Really making sure that you're straightening the car through bomb hole. And now carrying the momentum round Coram. A couple of different lines you could argue through here. It's all about how much grip you think you got on the tyres and how much lines you can take. But Matt Allen, his gap has dropped significantly. He's lucky he's got one. This is the last lap because otherwise he could have really found himself in a spot of trouble. 1.3 seconds as he nearly careers into the road, into the wall. He doesn't need to worry though because Matt Allen has taken the checker flag for the first time this evening here at the Snetterton 300 and the Porsche PMR Cup. Dave Newsham is in second place and David Ward had to settle for third in the end with Freddie Hewitt in fourth place. Matt Allen then, I think, goes top of the Drivers' Championship I could well be wrong, but with a drive like that, he won't care whether he's top this time or after the 45-minute race. He's going to be filled with loads of confidence as he does a few donuts on the outside of a hairpin. Probably not the best place to be doing them. As he's joined by a couple of other drivers, though. I think that's Colin Martin. Yes, it is. Onto the grass. A bit easier to do when you're on the grass. So I hope everyone can hear me. Please do let me know if you can't, or if I'm not quite balanced with what you're hearing out on the screen. If someone could drop a comment, let me know if the volume's is good for everyone else. But as everyone's crossing the line, I think we've only got a couple more drivers, Neil Memory being one of them. He's coming across the line, flashing the lights. Over the line in 13th place. Matthew Addy is another driver we're waiting for. Had absolutely nothing to do with that bridge section. Careered into by another driver. And Ollie Wayne as well, who really has done absolutely nothing wrong, apart from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's going to come across the line in 15th position. We'll be able to give you a full rundown of race 1 as soon as it's available to us. We'll be able to speculate how that might impact on the championship as well. And then we're going to be going to a different server where we will have another qualifying session followed by a 45-minute race. And if the results would like to come up for me, that would just be terrific. Ah, there we go. Matt Allen then. So, there we go. Matt Allen then comes home in first position. Dave Newsham came in second, 1.2 seconds back from Matt Allen. Probably clearly letting off a little bit. And Dave Newsham, unfortunately, having that spin, giving up the race lead. David Ward in the Fast Star car, first of the Fast Star cars, in third place. Freddie Hewitt in fourth. Fifth was Colin Martin. Jeff Perkins was in sixth place. Michael Seal in seventh. Jamie Dory in eighth. Sam Holman in ninth. So Jamie Dory did get past Sam Holman in the end. Lee Horn was in 10th position. Thomas Delaney in 11th. Jochen Sigert was in 12th position. Neil Memory in 13th. And Matthew Addy in 14th. Ollie Wayne was in 15th. And then finishing 3 laps down was in 16th Simon Clayton. 5 laps down was 17th place man Chris Knox. So a few bruised cars out there today. With any luck, they'll be able to potentially get that a little bit better in the second race of the evening. As I said, we are going to have to jump into a short break. But then, hopefully, the next server will be up nice and quickly. We'll be able to go into a 15-minute qualifying session, followed by a 45-minute race. That is the feature race for the evening. So if you like what you've seen right now, then you might want to stick around because it's going to be absolutely awesome. I think JP sends a bill for the grass messing up at Snetterton. Yeah, there's been a few too many grass cutting opportunities. Mr. Palmer will not be happy. He never is. It's amazing how many times that you get told off for messing up his grass, especially around the British touring cars or British GT or British superbikes or anything like that. It's a bit too there's a bit of a running joke between the drivers whenever we have to go to an MSV circuit. That and their pressure pad for track limits. I mean, it's the letter of the law, but it's a bit ridiculous at the same time, some might say. So as we go into the next session, I'm going to shoot you to a quick advert break. I'm going to try to line up some interviews because it quite often takes a little while to get in between sessions, but I'll be back as soon as I possibly can. Don't go anywhere unless you want to go and get a drink or something. You've probably got about 5 minutes to go. I'll see you in a minute. Simon Clayton, my guy. Thank you very much. Right, I'll start again. So, we're having a chat we're just chatting about, basically, on the Facebook, whether or not you think Sergio Perez is actually, he's been called up to Red Bull, and it's big news in the racing world, in the F1 world anyway, especially, because it's the first time that Red Bull have actually gone outside of their youth driver remit to make sure that they've actually got a competitive driver in the car. He's obviously replaced Alex Albon, so not surprisingly, Verstappen has kept his place. Albon's dropped to reserve driver. Just dropped a poll into the Facebook stream. Do you think that Albon Perez deserved Albon's seat? Do you think Albon deserved to keep it as well? Do you think he deserved to keep it the reserve seat, or do you think he should have dropped down to the AlphaTauri? Let me know what you think. Neil Memory, thank you very much for the like on the stream as well. Jamie Dory as well, thank you very much for the share a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, drop your reaction on that. It'd be interesting to see everyone's views. I personally think that Perez did deserve it. Not just because of that win. I think he's been consistently a good performer in what has been a consistently slightly underperforming car in terms of maybe the management that they've had to deal with in terms of the owners and stuff like that, chopping and changing every so often. So I'm really pleased that he's been given a competitive car for next year. Hopefully Red Bull can carry on. If you don't think F1 is any good at all, which is fair enough, I don't particularly love every second of it. I think that BTCC and touring car driving in general is a lot better and that sort of thing. Then you can also answer that, because I've left that in the comment as well. So yeah, if you do, let me know what you want to have a chat. Perez for Hamilton's seat. Whoa, I think you might have an interesting conversation on your hands there, Neil. No matter what you think of Lewis Hamilton, I don't really mind him. I know a lot of people really hate him. I don't really know why a lot of people really hate him. You can't deny he's an absolutely fantastic driver, that's for sure. I did love, though, the most interesting race of the entire year was obviously Bahrain short circuit, with the George Russell factor involved, with the Hamilton-George Russell sort of dynamic. That was really interesting. Valtteri Bottas put in an absolutely lose-lose situation. If he won the race, then okay, all you've done is beat George Russell, who's never been in the car, doesn't even fit in it, blah, 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 blah. And if he loses, well, he's just lost to George Russell, who doesn't fit in the car, X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. So that was a really interesting race. But that was easily the most engaged that I've been in F1 this year. I think my mate Jeezy, he said it best probably. He said, well, the season was over in pre-season testing. It was always going to be a Mercedes driver, so it's always a bit awkward, isn't it? But the sort of mid-pack battle, that battle for third place, I think McLaren took in the end. That was fantastic to see. Ferrari being toppled somewhat. The fight between Renault, Racing Point, and McLaren was awesome, and I was glad to see McLaren come back. Big fan of Lando Norris and stuff like that, as most people are in the sim racing world, thanks to the fact that he's so sort of personable and sort of engaging on his streams and stuff like that. So yeah, that was a big talking point for me. Bottas out, put Russell in the seat. I would agree with you, Neil. Unfortunately for everyone who wants to see that, Bottas actually has his seat, doesn't he, already arranged for next year. So I think after that, when the rule changes come in, I would worry for Bottas a little bit. It's a shame that George has to be put back in that Williams for an entire year when we've all seen that he's probably a little bit better than that. He's just sort of almost just treading water now, which is good. And it was a big shame as well that we saw him. He signed up for the next year's Williams deal ages before this sort of silly season driver contracts, Vettel deciding that he was moving on and all this sort of thing started, because that was a real carousel, and Russell couldn't really be any part of it thanks to the fact that he was signed his contract, and obviously he's a Mercedes driver, which doesn't help. Yeah, we're just wasting time here until we can session, and the session is now actually up, so I'm going to go load into it, and then we'll be cracking on for the 15-minute qualifying. And then obviously a 45-minute race. So we're going to be back in a couple of minutes. Probably not long at all. Doesn't take my computer too long to load up the sim. And we'll be back with more action and less useless chat about me. Next time, though, if there is a bit more of dead time and I can't find anybody to interview, we're going to be talking about BTCC and maybe what you guys want to see in the British Touring Car Championships, whether it's be different drivers or different teams, different cars, what kind of interesting things you've got on, ideas you've got for the British Touring Cars, rather than F1, because... let's face it, F1 is fine. That's about it. But I'm loading up to the new session. I'll be back in a sec. And we're back. And also something that I love is the fact that on the poll, I sort of closed it relatively quickly, but 80% of people said that the BTCC is better than F1 anyway, so who cares basically. Absolutely correct. The BTCC is much better. So I want to hear your sort of craziest ideas for BTCC as well as we're loading into the session. There's going to be a couple of minutes until we're actually going into qualifying. And then obviously there's a 45-minute qualifying. So it's a 45-minute race to go. So obviously we're going to keep an eye out on the circuit. But thanks to the fact that I haven't got any co-commentators in this stream, it's on you guys to be my co-commentators and have a chat to me and make sure that it's sort of a more conversational style of commentating more than anything when you're on your own. You tell little anecdotes, you give opinions, you give here, there, and everywhere. Rather than just sort of full-on action all the time, especially when it's a 45-minute style race. When I'm on my own, because otherwise I would be talking to a co-commentator, and since we don't have one of these streams, you guys have to fill in. So come on, step it up, hit me up in the comments, give a like to the stream, share it, do whatever you want to do. Start your own little conversation in the comments. I'll try and tag along, whether I'm invited to or not. You're in my comments, so yeah, I'll do what I want. But yeah, if anybody has just joined in, we are at Snetterton for round 5 of the Porsche PMR Cup series. PMR Cup, yeah, that's right. Porsche PMR Cup, yeah, I say PMR such a lot that I have to make sure it's saying it in the right order. Snetterton 300 is the venue, and in race 1, saw Matt Allen take the race of victory from Dave Newsham after Newsham unfortunately chucked it away slightly. He just got a little bit, he made one mistake, and that's all he needed to lose the victory. He came in 2nd place. After that, I think it was David Ward who came home in 3rd place. Yes, it was David Ward who came home in 3rd place. The whole Fast Star cars were 5th to 3rd, to be honest. All 3 of them were in that sort of top 5 standing. So if there was a drivers team championships, you could probably guess who would be doing pretty well. A little bit too much contact, probably, for a Porsche race. To be honest, we love to see close racing, but when it's just driving mistakes going off and careering into other drivers, Ollie Wayne especially, I feel for him. He deserved a little bit better. I don't think he really did anything wrong apart from being in the wrong place at the wrong time, which is always a shame. But hopefully the 45-minute race, everyone will just calm down just a touch, and we'll have some close, brilliant racing. Obviously, we normally, in this series, have 3 drivers that sort of stand out. We did in the first 3 rounds in terms of Bobby Thompson, Will Orton, Josh Malin. None of those 3 drivers are here tonight. Will Orton was here for the first 4 rounds. He isn't here tonight. I think Bobby Thompson and Josh Malin only made it for the first 3 rounds. So not sure where they are. In fact, they've only turned up for the first 2 rounds. Bit of a shame. We are on Christmas break next week. Of course, next week is bang on Christmas Day. So you can probably imagine that we would like to spend that day with the families rather than cooped up on a simulator. Although having said that, probably a lot of these drivers would enjoy an evening on the simulator on Christmas, I imagine. But they'll be with their families, as I'm sure will most other people, hopefully. If you can make it, obviously it's strange and telling times these days, so if you can, then that's brilliant. If you can't, don't worry, we'll be back the week after. And if you're tuning in on Jacko Racing, there's going to be more stuff on the way. We've got a company I work for called SRW, Sim Races World. We have a Christmas special at the Nürburgring around the Nordschleife. That's going to be live on the 30th of December, which is really exciting. I've got a surprise on the 29th. This should be really fun. A little short video coming out on that. That's going to be really fun. Can't wait for it, to be honest. And then we've got, this is back on the Friday after that as well. We've got BSR MX-5 Pro Series every Tuesday. Next week, I think we have off. No, we don't even have next week off. No, we're just doing BSR Pro Series throughout the entirety of it. So that's going to be really cool as well. So there's plenty of action that you can be tuning into on Jacko Racing. And I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in now, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. We're streaming to them all these days. So, yeah, thank you very much. And, if you let me know what kind of antics you would like to see in the BTCC, whether it be any cars, I'd love to see one of the cars that I'm just completely always wanted. Thanks to the fact that it's association with the British touring cars and everything like that, is the Volvo 850R. They're really expensive for old cars. I think it's because they're quite rare and desirable. We're about to go into qualifying, by the way, but obviously it's going to be a while. It's a 15-minute qualifying session, so we're not going to miss on anything too much. There's a couple of drivers are now pulling out of the pits there. Thomas Delaney, we can see in the SVR Motorsport car, but Yeah, one of those sort of cars would be really fun. I don't think it'll happen. It's not probably the best shaped car for it anymore. Obviously, the longer saloon-style cars are starting to come into the fray with the likes of the Ford being now a little bit longer. No, it's not saloon. But the Ford being a little longer. The 3 Series obviously has been quite dominant in recent years. The new Civic is obviously a little bit longer as well. So I think we're starting to go slightly more away from the traditional hatchback and go back to almost semi-saloon style. Obviously, Ash Sutton's Infinity. I forgot the word for that. Infinity was obviously quite dominant as well. The rear-wheel drive coming into its own, maybe clearly showing it's slightly got an advantage over the front-wheel drive cars. Lord Gow tried to make it clear that he was trying to even the field out a little bit, but with a few boost adjustments. But yeah, I think that was really interesting. So what car would you be interested in seeing? Obviously, we've got a few more cars coming in. The Infinity looks like it might be engineered a little bit better now. Sicily have gone with the 3 Series. That's pretty big news. First team to have the 3 Series other than BMW themselves. And obviously Team Hard have gone for the Cupra, which I'm a big fan of, to be honest. I like the Cupra. It's going to be really cool to see out on the circuit as well. The new one's really nice looking, and if they can get a nice livery on it, it'd be a fantastic looking car. So yeah, those are the sort of things that are happening. But what car would you like to see out on the British Touring Car grid? Obviously that you might want to watch drive every day. Or it could be something that's completely out there. Obviously, you don't probably want to drive a Toyota Corolla every day compared to the likes of the BMW 3 Series or anything like that. But Tom Ingram's out there, and he's finally just about making that car work for him. It'll be a threat next year, I'm sure of that finally. It was obviously a long time coming. A few too many years probably along the... trying to make it quick for him and get the car underneath him. But they're starting to get there now, that Speedworks team. So I imagine they'll be there fighting fit for the next season. Obviously, Dan Camish will be there as well. But what car would you like to see on it? That's the question. Drop a comment in the comments, obviously, not the description or anything. And we'll see what we've got. But obviously, we're going to be going straight into qualifying. So let's have a look and see. We have got a few times just on the board now, but they are literally the first times that we've had. Matt, Allen, Neil Memory, Addy, Ward, Martin and Siegert. As we've seen, Jamie Dory parked on the side of the road as he struggles to get the car facing the right direction. There we go. This is Ollie Waned. Not set a lap time yet. Obviously, the lap times that have been set are exclusively the very, very first lap times that we've had. So there's no point sort of taking them for gospel. They will be beaten as the cars get more heated up. And we go into a full qualifying run. Let me know as well if the audio is all good. Obviously, a few drivers. Just seeing Michael Seals. And the bottom left of your screen, you can see Michael Seals' little icon. I'm a fan of that, to be honest. He's a good-looking guy. Yeah, let me know if the audio is good, if the image quality is good. A couple of weeks ago, I tried this streaming over to 3 platforms. And I got the bitrate wrong. So it was very up and down. Hopefully this is a lot smoother for you guys all watching at home, and hopefully you are enjoying it a little bit more. Oh, going wide there goes Ollie Wade. Lee Horn hoping for a better race than he just had in the first one. It wasn't ideal for the next-gen driver. Obviously used to touring cars, front-wheel drive. Race Room Cars is the series that he organises. We used to cover that on Jacko Racing on in the last next-gen series. Very much a fan of it. It was a good championship. Obviously, I had to unfortunately say no to covering this year. Or this season, I should say. Thanks to the fact that we do SRW NASCAR on a Monday night now. So, on the NASCAR, it's definitely an interesting championship to be a part of. It's obviously over racing, very different to track racing, something that I've never actually even watched, let alone commentated on. It was awesome though, really enjoyed it. David Ward's got on top of the timing table. Let's have a look and give a rundown of what we've got looking at now. Ooh, Matthew Eddy getting pulled across on. Lee Horn going into Agostini. So David Ward has at the moment set a 51.3, a good lap time. Matt Allen in second place, 0.08 of a second off. Lee Horn only 0.08 of a second off him. Remember what we saw in the first round of qualifying. It was hundreds and thousands I'm not talking about the tasty sweet. I'm talking about the tasty racing. That was the difference between these drivers around the first. Just tell you what, if you want to see how close they can get, Colin Martin to Ollie Wayne, equal to 3 decimal places between 5th and 4th position. You can see on the timing tower there on the left hand side of your screen. Hopefully that's not taking up too much of your screen. I will reduce that as we go into the next session, I think. And it looks a little bit too much like it's encroaching, I think, there. So tell you what, that might just be a touch better. Let me know if you like the layout, or if you need it to be changed for any. Or if you don't need it to be changed, but if you'd like it to be changed slightly. I would love to put the session state in the middle of the screen, but unfortunately I can't seem to change that. I have tried. I don't know why it's not changing. Normally it does, but yeah, it is what it is for now. So Ollie Wayne comes across the line. Is that any better? Is that an improvement? The fact that we can bring up the qualifying mode, so we can see at the bottom of your screen now who's going faster, who's going to be doing some purple sectors and green sectors, X, Y, Z. The likes of Freddie Hewitt then. Let's have a look at Freddie. He's about to come across the line. And he comes across the line in 4th place. A great flying lap by Freddie Hewitt. Chris Knox as well, who didn't actually manage to get out in qualifying and retired after the first race. I feared that we might not see him in the second race, but he's coming across. He's on a couple of green sectors. Freddie Hewitt actually purpled the 3rd sector in that last lap, so a really impressive drive from him so far. Matt Allen has purpled the 2nd sector, which is why he's top of the table. But here comes Chris Knox, who seems to be the driver who's going to improve most on this lap round. He comes down the start-finish straight. Foot flat to the floor. Try saying that 5 times fast. Chris Knox goes into 7th place, and he finally might be able to get a half-decent starting position, which means he might actually be ending up on a good race, but he won't want to do that very often as he goes off and into the field. Mowing the field for Mr. Palmer, cutting those crops as he heads towards the scary tree. Comes back on then. He won't wanting to be repeating that, I'm sure. Oh, apologies if you can hear some binging in the background. I will try and get rid of it. David Ward has just pipped Colin Martin into 2nd place. I've tried to mute that noise. I don't know if it's going to be working, so I will have to try my best. Should be working now. So, Matt Allen, Dave Newsham's on a flying lap. No, he needs a flying lap because at the moment he's all the way down in 16th place. He did put it on pole after the first qualifying session. Let's see what Dave Newsham is going to come up with on his first flying lap. I don't think it's going to be any faster. I think it's actually going to be slower. He comes across the line. It is faster. And tell you what, actually, I was telling a lie. The data gave me wrong information. He goes 2nd place. 50.8 at the moment. 1 minute 50.8. Just under a tenth of a second off the pole sitter. David Ward still in 3rd place. Let's see who else. Sam Holman. He's going to be going green at the moment. 1st place is 1 minute 50.7. Holman's going to come across the line in the other fast R car. Breaking the timing barrier there. I think it was a 1 minute 53. No, it wasn't. Again, wrong information. It's a 1 minute 51.9. And that has moved him up to 9th position. So in the 15-minute qualifying session, they can actually pit in, put some new tyres on, and get back out there. So I think that is what a lot of these drivers are taking advantage of at the moment. Matt Allen then, he took the first race victory. I think he qualified in 3rd place after qualifying in the first race. And he now looks like he's in a rhythm with a lot of confidence as well in the car underneath him in the Misty Racing Machine. He's going to be trying to put it on pole position and potentially take a lights to flag victory in the 45-minute feature race we've got coming up. So as I said, if you are watching and you haven't done already, then I'd be absolutely blessed if you decided to give the stream a quick like or a comment or a share or follow the stream or anything you want to do. It all helps. It's helping to grow the channel. We are on 400, I think. Well, hold on, actually. I'll double check this. I'll double check it. I believe... Where is it now? Come on. There we go. We are 95% of the way to completing my target that I actually put in place. Oh, when did I put that in place? Must be about 4 months ago now. Of hitting 500 followers on the channel. If we could do that before Christmas, or around about Christmas, that would be absolutely amazing. I'm going to be trying really hard this weekend to be putting out some content and streaming to make sure that that is the case, because that would be absolutely fantastic. Finish off the year with 500 follows, that'd be awesome. But obviously we have to earn that, so by all means, if you're enjoying this, then let me know. But if there's any improvements that we can make on the stream, then also let me know. Dave Newsham is back out. I'll tell you what, Chris Knox has actually purpled the third sector on that lap just before. Matt Allen's come across the line then now. He hasn't improved. Jochen Sigurd might go a little bit faster. He's just put in a green sector 2 as he's coming up towards the line. I'm keeping an eye on Chris Knox at the moment because although he jumped up to 7th place, other drivers putting in flying laps meant that he's all the way down to 13th. However, the fact that he put in a purple third sector in his last flying lap leads me to think that he might have something up his sleeve, but I believe what he's doing right now is just warming his tyres up. Yeah, he comes across the line and sets 2 minute 19.5. That's a long way off where we expect him to see. Oh, just going a little bit wide on the exit of turn 1 as well. That's not going to help his tyres. Oh, it's not going to help his run either. Not quite as clean. That'll lose him a couple of tenths. Nice on the second corner though. Lee Horn setting some green times as well. He comes across the line in 7th place. Not an improvement by him. He's only just off his flying lap pace though. No one improving just yet, but that's because they've got a couple of minutes to go until they really need to put the hammer down. They're all just warming their cars up, making sure that they're used to what's going to be underneath them, got the tyres up to temperature, all this, that and the other. Let's try and start putting in some flying lap times. So keep an eye on the qualifying data that's down below on the bottom of your screen. That will keep an eye on who's going to be putting in some faster lap times. As you can see, if it's like Matt Allen, if it's green, first sector, it'll come up with green. If it's not quite on it in the second sector, it'll come up with yellow, and then the black loading bar is what they are up to in terms of the current sector they're on. So as Matt Allen comes across the line, you can see that it was a 1 minute 55, nowhere near what we'd expect out of his qualifying position. So Jochen Sigurd, he greened his first sector. His second sector is some way off, it has to be said. Let's have a look and see how his third sector is going to be getting on. Chris Knox also... Oh, that's not a way to... that's not going to improve your third sector whatsoever. Jochen Sigurd goes straight on out of corner and into the last corner. That means he's going to be a little bit slower than he would appreciate. Freddie Hewitt coming across the line. He greened the first sector. He greened the third sector. The middle sector wasn't so hot, but he comes across the line to put it in third position. Just 0.2 of a second off Dave Newsham by the looks of it. Good time by Freddie Hewitt as well. I'm sure he'd be very pleased with that one. Colin Martin looks like he set some good green times. He cut in a green time in the middle, a green time at the end, and that's put him into 4th place. Remember, he finished in 5th in race 1, so it's probably about the area he would like. And I tell you what, how close is that between himself and his Fast Star teammate? Oh, in fact, he's not a Fast Star driver, so apologies there. But Colin Martin against Freddie Hewitt, equal to 3 decimal positions. As close as you can possibly get to being equal, as about as immeasurable as you can get. The checkered flag has dropped, so anybody who's currently out on a fast lap has the opportunity to finish said lap. However, not a lot of drivers are currently doing anything better than what they've put in before. So as Matt Allen jumps into the pits, I don't think he'll be the only one. Simon Clayton's on a green time. Well, he's not anymore. I was going to say he's on a green time, but he's certainly not that anymore. Colin Martin appears to be in a wall. Michael Seal is finishing off his lap. Will he be pulling into the pits though? Because I don't think he's going any faster. It looks like he is. Yep, so everybody seems to be peeling into the pits. Now, Jamie Dory is not in the pit. He's also not on the racetrack. He's ventured very far out wide. Sam Holman doing a similar thing. Where's he going? Oh, he's cutting the circuit. He'll receive a penalty for that. Surely, Sam Holman. Just park your car up. There we go. And swan back to the pits. Chris Knox, again, on the outside. Matthew Addy is actually rotating on the tarmac. So, a first, it seems, for these drivers. But he doesn't look like he's actually going that fast either. And that'll be track limits and ruin his lap time anyway. So, Matthew Addy will be coming into the pit. Thomas Delaney was about the only driver who actually wanted to finish his flying lap. And finish it he did. And it was slower by 1/10 of a second. So he comes around the first corner and going towards Wilson. And as he pulls up, the session will finally come to a close 2 minutes after the checker flag actually is dropped. Remember, we've got a 45-minute race coming up, so by all means, stick around because you don't want to miss out on the Porsche PMR Cup feature race. Dun dun dun. I need some kind of sound effect. I don't know. Need someone to make me sound effects. I have a sound guy, but I feel bad. Just keep nagging him. He's got his own job. So I'm trying to bring you the results of that qualifying session. Doesn't seem to be able to bring it up just yet though, so we'll keep to this one. I think for some reason it's because I think Chris Knox appears to be still sat on the outside. And Chris, if you're watching this, get a move on. Just spawn back to the pits. There we go. And we can now bring you the results of that session. But I don't want the results of that session. I want the grid. Matt Allen then, pole position after taking the race win in race 1. Dave Newsham in 2nd place. This time around, those two swapping over. Freddie Hewitt in 3rd. Colin Martin in 4th. David Ward in 5th. Michael Seal in 6th. 7th was Lee Horton. Jamie Dory was in 8th place. Jeff Perkis in 9th. Sam Holman rounds out the top 10. Jochen Siggert is in 11th. With Ollie Waynes in 12th. 13th was Chris Knox, dropping down the order. He couldn't seem to get a second lap time in. Matthew Addy in 14th. Thomas Delaney 15th. Simon Clayton 16th. And Neil Memory in 17th position. So as we wait for the drivers to line up on the grid, that is Matt Allen on pole position. We are waiting for a few others, the likes of Michael Seal, Chris Knox. I think it's just Michael Seal now we're waiting for, and that gap in 6th position at the moment on the outside. They'll be heading off into the 2nd and final race of the evening, the feature race. With any luck, it'll be an absolute storm as all the cars are now on the grid. We'll be able to get the lights up for you now. Here we go then. The engines notes rise as we're about to get underway for the feature race in the Porsche PMR Cup. Flash the lights, and they've gone out. It's a good start by Matt Allen and Dave Newsham, who seem to have jumped the rest of the field. David Ward has jumped Colin Martin as they're all fighting for 3rd place into the first corner. It looks like it's going to go the way of David Ward. Colin Martin trying to go around the outside. Michael Seal has got that position up the inside. And it looks like Lee Horn is also there. Jamie Dory goes wide, and in the background there, Jochen Siggert goes very wide. All again fighting for 3rd place. Matt Allen, Dave Newsham are as they were. Colin Martin has had a bit of a crash. We'll be able to see what happened there, but it looks like that David Ward is actually catching up on Dave Newsham for that 2nd position. Michael Seal in 4th place against Lee Horn. Just about getting loose on the outside. Colin Martin spins in sympathy with Jamie Dory. Don't think there was any contact there, but I think Colin Martin got on the throttle just as quickly as Jamie Dory, and they both ended up going very stage exit left. Oh, and it looks like that's another spinner. Who is that? Thomas Delaney. He's gone round and about as well, and these cold tyres and the rear-wheel drive Porsches have really caught out a lot of drivers here. It looks like we're already going to be fairly split up. Matt Allen still leads the way though from Dave Newsham and David Ward in third place as they come down the back straight for the first time in this second race. Matt Allen, sorry, trying to break the toe. Lee Horn's had a better start than he had last time out. Sam Holman appears to be in the pits. That's why he appears to be in first place on the left-hand side of your screen, but that is not the case. So it looks like Matt Allen taking his pole position and converting it at the moment. He needs to keep it all nice and calm. Let's have a look at a few of the other crashes that we've had since the green flag has dropped. So this is Matthew Addy going into the first corner. What's going to happen here? He's just going to pitch himself in. A couple of other drivers around and about. That's Jeff Perkins. Oh, and around goes the fast star car. In fact, there's a whole host of fast star cars. Simon Clayton's actually jumped up 7 positions thanks to all that madness, I think. Colin Martin was involved with it as well. Is there a tap potentially? No, we're going to go down into the hairpin and he just goes straight off. I wouldn't say that was much of a crash iRacing. It's more of an inconvenience for Colin Martin. Coming back onto the circuit though is Jochen Sigert. Is he going to have a moment going into the hairpin as well? Yes, he does exactly the same as Colin Martin. What happened to Thomas Delaney then? He was going down into Agostini. On the brakes, down the gears. Does the back end rotate round on him? Oh, yes it does. A little bit too much power applied out of Agostini. And last but not least is Sam Holman's incident. It looks like his car is worse for wear as it's pitching left and right, left and right. You can see how he's having to turn his wheel to even get the car straight. He touches the grass and around it goes. So we've had to catch up on a few others as well. We've had Freddie Hewitt with a crash. He qualified really well, Freddie Hewitt. It's a bit of a shame to see him have an incident. Oh, just the back end switching out. A little bit too much speed maybe carried into that corner. He's had another crash as well. He was going side by side with the number 16 car of... Don't know who that is because their number does not match the number that I've got on my screen. But he just goes wide. Again, too much speed into the corner. Here's Lee Horn though, alongside Michael Seal. Dave Newsham, Matt Allen, and then Michael Seal, Lee Horn are the closest battles we've got on circuit at the moment. The first 4 minutes of this 45-minute race have just about to be completed. Lee Horn looking up the inside there. Michael Seal would have been a brave move into the first corner. Wasn't quite to be just yet though. I'm sure he'll be piling the pressure on the fast star car, wanting to make sure that he has a bit of a better race than he had in the first race. And the last one at Donington that we were broadcasting, himself and Jamie Dory seem to just be taking it into a demolition derby between the two of them. So not most ideal for either of them. Matt Allen versus Dave Newsham is a fight that is yet again heating up, and by the looks of it, Matt Allen may have just got a little bit wide, but it's let him just carry enough speed around the outside to just keep Dave off him at the moment. Dave really coming into his own here, it seems, at Snetterton, really clicking with the track, a track that he's probably driven 100 times in real life. Converting it to the sim world, sometimes it's just all about whether you click with the track, click with the car setup and everything like that as well. It's really important to make sure that you're hooked up with those, with the 4 wheels underneath you basically. A vague look up the inside from Dave Newsham there, just making sure that Matt Allen knew he was still around, and obviously that is probably a different line to the likes of Matt Allen takes. It's probably the line I would take, Dave Newsham's. More diving into the corner under the gantry. And again, Dave hugging the inside a little bit more than Matt Allen, who seems to be taking the later apex around most of these corners. Different opportunities, different kind of techniques, both ending up very, very similar lap times by the looks of it. Here's Simon Clayton and Jeff Perkins. No, it's not Jeff Perkins, it's Matt Addy. Oh, Michael Seal. I tell you what, this is jumping around a little bit too much for me. Lee Horn on Michael Seal. Lee's getting second apex hooked up nicely, but he's not going to have the opportunity to slide up the inside of that fast R car at the moment. Taking that later apex though, will he be able to get a clean on the power? He's having to fight the car, maybe just a bit too keen. Only by a touch though. This battle really sort of heating up nicely. Lee, as I said, is a well-versed in front-wheel drive touring car action on the race room sim, but iRacing in a Porsche is pretty much the absolute opposite you could possibly get to on the spectrum. Rear-wheel drive, tons of horsepower. iRacing being a completely different sim to race room as well, whether you like one or the other. I prefer iRacing, to be honest. Some people like the likes of ACC. My friend Cheesy, he swears by ACC. I don't know if that's really my kind of sim, but I'm a fan of iRacing. One thing for certain, I cannot drive these Porsches. I've tried to do little videos where I'm just going around and then talking over the top of it, but I cannot drive them. I can't even get a clean lap, let alone a representative lap. Talking of representative though, here goes Lee Horn representing the next gen cars up the inside of the fast R. Not quite. Difficult section of the track to overtake that on. It is possible. It's also possible to fly around the outside of a driver, but it's not necessarily advisable. Not something that you maybe want to see your driver doing if you were in charge of a team. Here is the other next gen car. Trying to chase down Colin Martin this time. Jamie Dory, after he seems to have a bit more of a cleaner car than he had after the first race at this stage. 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the second race of the evening, and it looks like he's going to be circulating and trying to fight with the PMR livery, Power Max liveried car of Colin Martin just ahead of them. They look very similar, these two, but they're not quite. They're just a little bit different from each other. We've had a crash for Thomas Delaney. Coming around Coram, is this? It is indeed. A very tricky corner to get done. He's into the braking zone. Hits the sausage curb. Millimetres, we're talking there. Millimetres for Coram and into the final corner. It's one of the most difficult, as I said, sections in the UK in terms of the braking zone. You really can't afford to get it even slightly wrong, carry a little bit too much speed. Too much brake pressure, too much steering angle. It can all be far too costly to go into that race. And I should know, because as I was saying earlier, it's actually my first race win in real life was at Snetterton in a Ginetta G40. And it was mostly thanks to the fact that going out of Coram into that final corner, both the drivers ahead of me, I was in third for the majority. Getting faster, but I was in third. The majority of drivers, those two fell off, and it's basically exactly the same way. As we have a little bit of an off moment for Simon Clayton, I think that was. But they both did all exactly the same thing as what we've just watched there. Just went straight on, got the braking wrong with a little bit too much steering lock. Tried to send too much speed into the final corner and ended up spinning. So it's really difficult. Not one that is for the faint-hearted. Here's the final next-gen car. Yogurt Sigger into Wilson. He seems to have had a bit of an off. He goes wide, and there we go, rotating the rear end. And the more they do that now, the worse it's going to get as the tyres deteriorate over this 45 minutes. Oh, Freddie Hewitt's had yet another crash. Going down into the bridge section. Yeah, fast left-right, as I said. Yeah, there we go. A little bit too much speed. Locked the brakes up, and he's facing the wrong way there. He's lucky, actually, that no one else was coming. That could have been a big accident. So this battle has opened up to about 4 tenths to half a second now. Dave Newsham. So Matt Allen lapping a very, very consistent pace. Just a touch quicker than the likes of Dave Newsham. Here's that battle. David Ward actually is right in the middle, by the way. Pretty much clean air compared to the battle ahead of him and the battle behind. He's in third place and thoroughly enjoying himself, I imagine, in the Fast R cars. The Fast R cars, they seem to be doing well. They're not quite on pace to win any of these races, but they're scoring an awful lot of points between them. The likes of David Ward and Michael Seal are certainly making a name for themselves up the order in terms of the championship. Now that obviously we've had a few dropouts of the faster lads, it's an opportunity for these guys to really excel and come up the order. Lee Horn, we didn't see it then, but the camera showed us that he was just having a little look up the inside of Michael Seal, making sure he was putting him under a little bit of pressure, you know, making sure I'm here. Yeah, you can miss your braking zone if you want, fill the mirrors into the braking zone. It's a technique that's as old as racing itself, because it distracts the driver. It just takes their eye off it for a second. All of a sudden, they miss the braking zone by 2 meters, and they just miss the apex, and then they're all not quite coming out the corner as quickly as you want to, as they would want to, but not quite affecting them just yet. Michael Seal, he's absorbing it well. Casey Eames has just realised we're at the penis-shaped track. I'm not entirely sure. Is Snetterton? Is it? I'm going to bring up the race info. I'll bring up the track map. Oh, I suppose the track map is at the top of your screen, top right. I can see where you're coming from. We won't say any more than that, Katie, but I can see where you're coming from. It is a little bit like that. It's a good track, though. It's a very good track. So Dave Newsham's closed up just a little bit more. He's put in a fastest lap of the race. That was a couple of laps ago, but in that last lap, he was actually only half a tenth off his fastest lap, whereas Matt Allen was about 3 tenths off. So Dave Newsham has pulled back up. Obviously, the slipstream is going to play quite a big part in that. Colin Martin is trying to chase down Jeff Perkins at the moment. Jamie Doyle was there, and he still is there. You can just about see behind Colin Martin. Not quite able to get close enough, though. I've had plenty of adventures at Snetterton down the years, and I'll probably have a chat about them as we go through the evening. My voice is touch and go a little bit. Oh, Colin Martin squeezing up the inside there. I don't think there was a move there. Jeff Perkins probably agrees with me. Jeff's car is looking really rather damaged, isn't it? And I don't think Colin Martin will want his car to be coming out the other end looking like Jeff's. So he just pulled out. Oh, he didn't really pull out of it. He just managed to stop before there was a massive incident. There's a bit of a difference. Luckily, everybody came out unharmed. I thought Jeff was going to be ended up being turned around, but he probably hit him just at the right angle in his door to make sure that he didn't get turned around. And thanks to the fact that this is in real life, he didn't get any bumps or bruises thanks to the contact made with Colin. Yeah, I've had plenty of adventures at Snetterton before now. It's not a track that I would say ever been my favourite. I'll tell you what, put that on hold. Colin Martin up the inside of Jeff Perkins to take 7th place. Jeff Perkins is rather battered and broken looking. Porsche doesn't look like it's going to be able to hold out for 8th place either, to be honest, because Jamie Dory is on the hunt. He may well just about get there. Lee Horn is still close on Michael Seal. Jamie Dory goes very wide into Agostini. Tell you what, though, he gets a little bit more of a straighter run out, though, thanks to the fact that Jeff Perkins just seems to take too much speed into the corner. Not able to make the overtake yet, though. We're keeping on board with Jeff Perkins. Let's have a look at Jamie Dory so we can sort of measure whether or not he's going to actually make the move or not. It is one of the circuits I'm absolutely gutted that I never got to drive in the Ginetta G55. The GT4 Super Cup, the the Super Cup didn't actually go to Snetterton the year that I was racing in it, which is gutting. I was really looking forward to racing in it, especially with the high aero. It would have been really fun around a lot of these corners. But we didn't get to go. We did go to Knock Hill, which I am very, very pleased about. Knock Hill is a circuit I've never been able to drive, and it was awesome fun. Made me feel horrifically sick, but it was awesome fun. Should have got a win. Got a pole position around Knock Hill. I believe Knock Hill is actually coming to iRacing sometime soon, apparently on the next update. So I'm really excited by that. I think nearly every championship should go to Knock Hill. It is awesome. Quite tricky to overtake on, but hooking that circuit up is like nowhere else, to be honest. The air that you can get and all that sort of thing. But I digress. We're talking about Snetterton. As I said, it was a really exciting. It's a really exciting thing, to the prospect of driving it in G55, but I never got to. So I've driven it in the G40, which is basically a little MX-5, a Ginetta Junior, essentially, if anybody's ever watched them. They're really fun, but Snetterton's never really been my strong circuit. This corner here is especially like a really tricky one that I've never quite got the hang of. I've just realised that for some reason it didn't take us there, but Lee Horn has actually got past Michael Seal. Dave Newsham's had a crash. So we'll get back to that, but as Dave Newsham was challenging Matt Allen, well, he wasn't really challenging him, just rotating, and it's at the same place. He's had a similar moment that he did before, but this time David Ward was actually close enough to take advantage. So Dave Newsham now drops down to 3rd position. And also, we've had a swap. Where is Lee Horn passing Michael Seal? Going down the start-finish straight into the first corner then. Standard operation for Lee Horn. Slips up the inside. All he needs was a good exit away from the last corner. And he has taken that 4th position away. And that means that Dave Newsham is probably the driver in no man's land at the moment. But we will have a quick look at that to make sure that we are telling the truth. And we are, because he is about 2 seconds away from the driver in front and 2 seconds away from the driver behind. Michael Seal, though, half a second away from his rival Lee Horn, as we're 17 minutes now into this race. That is about just over, well, a couple of minutes over the length of the first race entirely. So as I was saying, it's, oh, Lee Horn, as I'm trying to start my story again, Lee Horn rotates his Porsche. And I think that was just, oh, Dave Newsham's had another crash. Dave Newsham, he was in 3rd place and coming out of the first corner. That's not a crash. Going into the second. Oh, loads of speed being taken up. And that's being a corner if ever I've seen it. Clip that because Dave Newsham just V'd the corner completely. Jorgen Sigurds had a crash as well in the other next-gen cars. He just rotating it a little bit too much. A little bit like what Dave Newsham is. Yeah, there we go. A little bit too much power. Gets the back end round. A little bit too much power to get the back end the wrong way round again. So now Lee Horn, after all that hard work that he put through to get past Michael Seal, he now has to catch up. Not only Michael, but obviously he has to get through Ollie Wayne, who is currently in front of him, weaving about. So now this is the one to be looking at. Thomas Delaney's had another crash as Lee Horn looks in probably my preferred line. Going in narrower, aiming at the apex rather than waiting to sweep it. Balancing the brake and throttle as they go. Through Coram now then, he is about 0.3 of a second away, and he was quite a lot quicker than Ollie Wayne. But there, the problem for him now is the fact that he's about 5-6 seconds away from Michael Seal, and that is far and away the furthest that he's ever been away from them. So he's seen 4th in his eyes, and then, to be fair, if he managed to keep it on the road, he may have actually seen 3rd. But to the outside goes Lee Horn. Ollie Wayne going very, very defensive into the first corner. He's going round the outside Lee, and he uses the grip of the tyres and the aerodynamics, and he just about managed to squeeze his car through. Now he's going into Wilson. Defensive. Really be able to get the car stopped just about. But Ollie Wayne's gotten the better run out of it, to be fair. Lee Horn went a little bit too hot. Ollie looking at the inside now. It's a dangerous move to be going up the inside there, and luckily the TV camera angle made it look a lot more close than it was actually, because I thought there was going to be a big disaster there for both drivers, to be honest. So Lee back up to 5th, but he's an awful long way back, 6 seconds away from Michael Seal. You can see the gap there. It's going to be difficult with only 25 minutes left. Sam Holman, what's happened to him? The Fast Star car looking rather beaten up. Thomas Delaney looks like he's had a crash and he's had liftoff. Nothing that Sam Holman could do, but it's the fact that Thomas Delaney was around and about. Unfortunately, coming out of Agostini meant that he was parked right in the middle of the road. That sort of takes me back to my my story. And speaking of story time. Yeah, Snetterton in the G40. So I was racing the likes of Phil Ingram, who at the time, I'm not sure about now, he was the lead race engineer for the Jaguar Formula V team. He was the one on the pit wall with the direct comms to the drivers and everything like that, but he was also a rather good hand behind the race, behind the wheel of an actual race car, the Genetic G40 especially. So he was actually in the lead of the race going into the first lap. Michael Crease. Oh, we've had it off. Michael Seal has gone off track. Michael Seal then has gone off, going out of Coram, tries to make the corner, hits the sausage curb, and goes off wide. It just seems to be driver error flying through the order at the moment. There goes Lee Horn in the background. So Lee now retakes that 4th position that he saw himself throw away. Everybody seems to have gapped themselves quite substantially now. But yes, Michael Crease of British Touring Cars, obviously with BTC Racing at the moment. He was actually in 2nd place in the Ginetta G40s, and I was in 3rd. I saw those two going fighting into Agostini. I tried to nip up the inside. They both went very wide trying to outbrake themselves. As I went out of Agostini, put the foot down. We've seen a couple of drivers do it. Put the foot down, got the car rotated, sat on the exit, on the racing line, facing 25 of the cars coming straight at me with no idea that I was going to be there. And they hit me head on. I think the impact was about 60 miles an hour. I was stopped still. The other car was about 60 miles an hour. And ended up firing my car off, pretty much written it off, wrote their car off as well. Ended up in the ambulance. Had to go to the Norwich hospital to get checked over for. Because I felt like I had a little bit of a whiplash style effect. Actually, it was my knee that was the worst off. But I was all well, just a bit shaken up. Luckily, cars are built very well. Luckily, the Ginettas in terms of their crash and safety sort of mechanics that goes on behind. The structural integrity of a Ginetta is fantastic, to be honest. So yeah, it was very interesting. Dave Ward now, he's going to have to get past the 69 car. I'm not entirely sure who that is. Oh look, this is a position. David Ward and Dave Newsham going side by side. How have I missed that? Anyway, Dave Ward then in 2nd place is having to fight off Dave Newsham, who's got really good pace about him. And Dave obviously, well, Dave Newsham was the driver who actually qualified on pole position after the 1st qualifying session. He ended up having a little bit of an off after leading from the front for so long in the 1st race. He had another little bit of an off in the 2nd race, which put him down to 3rd. In fact, he's had a couple of offs, to be honest. But now he's fought back to fight Dave Ward now. He's clearly got good pace about him. In fact, Dave Ward had a 1 minute 55 in that last lap. So Newsham actually caught up about 3 seconds on him. I'm not entirely sure why that was. In fact, we'll be able to have a look at it now. Here goes Dave Ward under the bridge. Oh, goes very wide. Yeah, that'll be why he lost a lot of time. He was actually really lucky and good car control not to go flying off. And through into bomb hole, Dave Newsham had to slam the brakes on. There's no way he was getting around him there. And that's why they're actually side by side. No wonder it took me by surprise. Yeah, so after that little crash and incident that I ended up going to Norwich Hospital for, probably I wouldn't say it was the worst accident I've ever had, unfortunately. It's just a bit annoying. I'd like it to be. But it was the first one that I've actually been to the hospital for, after been to the medical room and everything like that. But yeah, after that I was going next year into the at Snetterton. Wasn't overly confident, thanks to the fact that I've never particularly had the pace around there to put it on pole or anything like that, or win any races. And obviously I had that big accident earlier on last year. Ended up, as I said, taking a race victory, which was pretty special for me. It's actually on my YouTube channel. It's Snetterton Race 1 GRDC Plus or G40 Cup. I can't remember which one it's labelled as. I will be putting on my Facebook channel over the Christmas period. I'm planning on uploading all my old races that I have on my YouTube channel over to my Facebook to have them all around the same area. So if you want to catch any of those races or see them, then by all means I'll be putting them on my Facebook. If you're watching this on YouTube, they're already on there. Sam Holman's had a crash. Yeah, another one, unfortunately for him. His car is looking very beaten up. I don't know if they have got a fast repair on this or not. It would probably be something to do, to be honest, as they go straight on through Agostini. No pressure on it, just unfortunately just going straight on. As I said, I think it would probably be a wise idea for them to put fast repairs on. Chris Knox didn't make it past lap 1 again. Neil Memory didn't actually start the race, which is unfortunate. So we have actually got only 15 drivers in this race, and a whole host of them have been to the pits. Thomas Delaney has been lapped a couple of times. Freddie Hewitt has been lapped. Sam Holman has been lapped a fair lot as well. They're only on lap 5, whereas the rest of the field are on lap 14. Just realised. Oh, Dan Morris, thank you very much for the like earlier on the well, about 4 minutes ago. Thank you very much for the like on the stream. A bit of sim racing, you guys. You need to dust off your sim that you got over lockdown and get yourself on, Dan. Try and practice for that Porsche seat that you're going to be going for next year. Yeah. Be awesome to have a few familiar faces like that along. To be honest, in the sim racing world, I know that a couple of you, obviously, if Mike or Chris wanted to get down as well, that'd be awesome for maybe a guest round. Have a go with a couple of these cars on the stream. That'd be awesome. I'm sure the next gen guys will be more than happy to have you down and to fill the grids out. So this is the closest battle we've actually got. No, it's not actually, because Lee Horn, Ollie Wayne, and Colin Martin have reignited. I tell you what, Lee Horn's been in the battles a hell of a lot tonight. As we're heading on to what will be the final 15 minutes sooner rather than later. About 17 and a half minutes to go. Jeff Perkins has had an incident. Let's see what's going on with Jeff, apart from the fact that his bonnet is nearly falling off and his wheel is protruding about 5 inches more than it should. Going into Agostini, and there we go. A spin that we haven't seen for the first time in that clip. And not one that we will be seeing for the last time either, I imagine. But here's Lee Horn on Ollie Waynes, who somehow got past Lee Horn, actually. And not too sure how that happened. I'll see if I can find it for you. I think Jamie Doyle went off. No, not Jamie Doyle, Lee Horn. Not sure. But Lee Horn actually fell down from 4th to 5th. So that is a pretty big... somehow he did that. In fact, we'll be able to see. So... Lee Horn comes through, and it's because Lee Horn went off is why Ollie Wayne got back past, and looks like Lee Horn's actually caught an awful lot of time back up. So that is why David Ward actually doesn't seem to... Dave Newsham has actually got past David Ward now. So David, well, as soon as we go off, that's Jamie Doyle leaving the pits. As soon as we go off these drivers, they're going to go side by side through the third corner. This is actually stunning if this is pulled off by Dave Newsham. Round the outside, now going down towards Agostini. He's actually got the move already done and dusted. I thought he was going to have to outbrake his opponent into Agostini, but he does both. And a really clean move past into second place, Dave Newsham now. I don't know if he'll be able to catch Matt Allen, who seems to have an 8-second gap, but he certainly will be pleased with how he pulled back second place. Lee Horn then in 5th position at the moment, away from Ollie Wayne. And as I said, Colin Martin just behind. The more Ollie holds up Lee, the more Colin will be rubbing his hands together and licking his lips to potentially get another position. Although I think Colin has had a slowdown. No, he went off track. Oh yeah, just coming out. A little bit of a spin, taps the wall. Again, not the last time we'll be seeing an incident like that. Ollie then going for the defensive, trying to break that toe away from Lee. Lee trying his best to pile the pressure on. He's already overtaken Ollie once this race, but those tyres must be taking a beating the amount of times that he's gone off on circuits so far. 15 minutes to go as well. You can only imagine that the tyres are going to get more and more torn away as the evening progresses. It'll be very interesting to see if Leon can get past him sooner rather than later, because as I said, the easier thing to do would be to overtake him, then build that gap, just in case the tyres are going off. But Ollie seems to be the more sort of patient and reserved driver at the moment. He's able to just keep his nose out of trouble, not throwing anything too leery, not carrying too much speed anywhere, not over-rotating the rear, putting too much tyre heat on the outside tyres. Just able to rotate the car nicely. around the corners. He may not be as fast as Lee, but Lee seems to be a little bit more on the edge than his opponent in the car ahead of him. As they go down onto the back straight, the Bentley straight, I believe it is, under the bridge yet again. It looks like Ollie's gone a little bit too deep, and there we go. It just offers the door open for Lee Horn, who takes it. Thankfully, he doesn't mess up this time. Gets past, and now we can start looking at building that gap. The pressure got to Ollie. He didn't end up actually going off the track or anything. He just went far too hot through the left-hander. That really narrowed up the right-hander, and really had to mean he had to stop to get the car back on towards the circuit and facing in the right direction. So into the last 15 minutes then we go, as these drivers seem to be, well, I'll tell you what, actually Dave Newsom's actually put in a fastest lap of the race so far. Sorry, not fastest lap of the race, but a fastest first sector. And if you look at the fastest lap of the race compared to what Dave Newsom is currently doing, he's actually one of the closest drivers. Those tyres don't seem to be wearing off for him at all, even though he's had a couple of little off moments. Michael Steele has overtaken Colin Martin for P6. Jeff Perkis has also overtaken Colin Martin for P7, and that is because Colin Martin has had yet an off track with Ollie Waynes, because Ollie Wayne came off. Well, let's have a look at this from the beginning, because Ollie Wayne, trying to follow Lee Horn, went off through the first corner. He then just gets the car straightened up, comes back on the race, right into the middle of the circuit, then pulls across the other way. Colin Martin has nowhere to go. He's looking like he's going one way, and Ollie, unfortunately, I think that probably looks like you were weaving and should have just stayed in one place. It's probably the safest, even if it was in the middle of the circuit, which wasn't ideal. So Colin Martin comes back on the track, and his car looking even worse, more worse for wear now. So Dave Newsom, as I said, is currently rotating in a decent lap. In fact, that last lap time, yet again, he purpled Sector 1. So whatever he's doing through Sector 1 is absolutely working for him. He managed to get a... Well, I'll tell you what, actually, Matt Allen's responded. He didn't want to be shown up on that last lap. He maybe knew that Dave Newsom was putting some pressure on, even though he is nearly 8 seconds down the road from him. Dave Newsom put in a 1 minute 51.3, which is about, it was 4 thousandths of a second off his fastest lap. Matt Allen put in a 151.3 as well, just a touch slower, but still within a tenth of the overall fastest lap of the race, which is actually Matt Allen's fastest lap of the race. So those two drivers are clearly showing that there is still life in these tyres. It's just a few other drivers maybe need to keep an eye out on one. Ollie Wayne does actually, although he's had a... Dave Newsom getting a twitch on. Ollie Wayne, although he has had a little bit of a few offs and battle and skirmishes here and there, he's actually still the driver with the highest amount of positions gained, with 7 positions gained. Freddie Hewitt, who is currently stuck on 6 laps and I think has retired the car, he actually has lost 12 positions from where he started. 6 laps up is also Simon Clayton, who we haven't actually seen that much of this race, but he has gained 6 positions. He is in 10th place. 10 minutes to go then on this feature race for the Porsche PMR Cup Series. In fact, we'll have a look at Simon Clayton, because it's probably one of the cleanest cars that we've got going, even if it is jumping in and out of existence. That is an issue with iRacing and any kind of sim racing, to be honest, because you can have the clean race, you can do all this, that and the other. It's cheaper than real life racing, but problem that you get in sim racing that you don't get in real life racing is the fact that you can flicker in and out of existence, as you can see Simon Clayton doing now. That's thanks to the fact that maybe his internet isn't up to as much as he would like. It's a lot less dramatic than a lot of races I've been involved in, with drivers and their cars literally jumping up in the air left and right. You don't know where they're going to be on the track. It can cause a problem if you are fighting in a pack, because if there are 3 of you, you're the one in the middle and you're blinking in and out of existence, then that means the driver in front doesn't even know if you're making a move. The driver behind doesn't know where to make the move on you. So it can always end up in a horrendous crash. But luckily, Simon Clayton is in a bit of a world of his own at the moment and doesn't need to worry about any of that. David Ward has pulled right up to the back of Dave Newsham now. I think this might have been a driver error because I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen anything. I don't think he came off track or anything like that, Dave Newsham. But something happened in that last lap, or in that last couple of corners since we went away to have a look at Simon Clayton. That meant that Dave Ward pulled right up to the back of Dave Newsham again. And this battle has reignited. Matt Allen, he is leading this race, by the way. We do have a leader of this race, and it's a driver who has put it on pole position. And he has, for the most part, driven away with it. Thanks to the fact that he hasn't put a foot wrong. Touchwood, driver commentator's curse aside. But he hasn't put a foot wrong, Matt Allen, so far. And this may well come, if he can keep it there for the next 7 minutes or so, he may well come away with a perfect evening. Oh, no he won't, because Dave Newsham qualified pole in the first race. But he will come away with 20 points from both races, which is very important for his championship attack, thanks to the fact that a whole host of other drivers who were at the top of the championship aren't obviously here tonight, and they may not well turn up again. Not sure. We'll see what their plans are. So hopefully they'll come for the second half. Obviously, with getting closer to Christmas, it's a bit harder for people to tune in and get on the racing. It's a bit harder to be attending every single race. I don't know if they're doing any drop rounds. I'll be honest, but if they didn't, then I would be a bit surprised, because as I said, it is a really difficult sort of time of year to be actually putting this sort of thing on and to be making every single round. So David Ward is just starting to get gapped by Dave Newsham yet again. Colin Martin is catching up to the likes of Jeff Perkins in that really damaged 555 car just ahead of him. Jeff, who has gained 2 positions off his starting lineup, but Colin has actually lost 4. And as Colin just goes up the inside nice and easily on Jeff, who has to brake heavily for Hamilton's now. That was a job rather easily done for Colin, who has shown really good pace, and whether it be bad luck or a few driver errors, he hasn't had the look of the green so far in this race. Jeff Perkins goes really wide onto the back straight, the last thing you want to do. Jamie Dory, who is actually in charge of this series, has had a torrid evening, and he's coming up with 3 crashes. This is the first one. I'm going around corner, and I think it could just be a couple of bites at the cherry for him. He just seems to stop. And stop, and well, I'm not sure what happened to Jamie Dory then. He just seemed to not want to play anymore. And then all of a sudden he got his mojo back and he's carried on. So I'm not sure what happened there. We'll see if there's another crash going into Ritchie's. He just seems to be really slowing down for every corner. Well, don't know, to be honest. Dave Newsham has just set the fastest lap of the race on tyres that are 40 minutes, 22 laps old. That's a very impressive lap time, 51.12. Admittedly, Matt Allen's probably not pushing quite as hard. However, the fact that he's done that on 22 lap old tyres, 40 minutes in, shows that the drivers may be thinking and complaining about overheating their tyres, or that they're not quite staying with them for as long as they would like. Well, it can be done, because he's just stuck a purple lap time in. So, really impressive from Dave. And I have to say, I'm giving him a lot of props tonight. It's because I gave him an awful lot of abuse on the, well, not abuse, but criticism, shall I say, on the Brands Hatch stream. And for a real life driver, I'm sure that probably wasn't what he wanted to watch or what he wanted to hear, especially from an amateur driver like myself. But in this race, he's hooked it up no end. Really impressive from him tonight. He hasn't quite managed the consistency that Matt Allen has, but in terms of raw pace, he's certainly stepped up a fair few notches. Obviously, we weren't here for Daytona, so I'm not entirely sure whether that's been carried over from then or whether he's just really clicked with Snetterton thanks to the fact that it's a track that he knows like the inside of his, or the backside of his hand. But Dave Newsham has really done a good job tonight, and he's had to fight back a couple of times from a couple of spins, and he's still managed to get that racecraft into the sim racing world, which is really difficult because it is very, very different when you can't rotate your head, or if you do rotate your head, all you see is your window or your wall. You don't actually see another driver that you would normally see there, and you don't get that spatial awareness. I know if anybody out there racing on a single monitor will back me out, because I only have a single monitor. It's very difficult to get that spatial awareness if you're going side by side with the driver and you're trying to keep your eyes on your braking point. You're not entirely sure where they are. If you have 3 monitors or an ultra-wide screen or something like that, then good for you. But when you're doing it on a one screen, it is certainly very difficult. So when you see people with these setups and they've got 3 monitors or 3 huge TVs and you think, oh, that's overkill, you can just do that on one. It's not overkill. Well, it sort of is. But it's for people who really are keen on their sim racing. It has a massive advantage. And if you're doing it an awful lot, it has another massive advantage for you. It's definitely worth it. Matthew Addy going sideways, drifting. Just managing to get back on circuit. Michael Seal as well going through, I believe this is Coram, the Team Cheetah Esports Fast R car. What's happening here? I'm guessing a rear over rotation. There we go. Yeah, a little bit too heavy on the brakes, a little bit too steering lock while the brakes were applied. "43 minutes then. Let's have a look for the first time in, let's face it, about 40 minutes at our race leader, the Misty Racing car of Matt Allen. He has been sublime for this race. He has not put a foot wrong. I don't know if we're going to be on the final lap or not right now. We may be on the penultimate lap. Depends how quickly he gets his job done, but to be honest, he can probably slow up a little bit across the line just to make sure this is the final lap. He has not put a foot wrong. He's just put in a couple of laps ago another flying lap, a 51.1. That was 2 tenths quicker than his previous flying lap to try and probably take it away from Dave Newsham's purple lap time, but he's failed by 8 thousandths of a second. But Matt is absolutely flown, and I can't say anything high enough about this driving this evening for him. He applied the pressure consistently in race 1 after he didn't probably qualify exactly where he wanted to. I think he qualified in 4th. And then he was consistently putting the pressure on Dave Newsham at the front of the field in that 15-minute race. He didn't make any silly moves, didn't make any silly mistakes. Dave cracked under the pressure. Matt took the victory, and he took it well as well. It wasn't like he was going to chuck it away anytime soon. And in this race, a 15-minute race and a 45-minute race is a completely different kettle of fish. He has driven this to perfection. It is a really difficult thing to do, to drive one of these cars around any track fast for 1 lap, let alone 24, potentially 25 if we get to that point. Touch wood, we may actually get another lap by the looks of it. We're going to cross the line, probably about 10 seconds to go. Is he going to slow right up? No, he's not. So he is going to start this last lap, and it is good because we had 15 seconds to go, and Dave Newsham is only 9 seconds behind. So if he had let up by 15 seconds, it could have been a bit of a disaster for him. So if you guys have enjoyed it, then do make sure that you're giving it a like on the stream. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I don't know if we'll be able to get any driver interviews or anything after the shoot, so we'll probably wrap it up pretty quickly. But it's been brilliant to have everyone along. I'm very much looking forward to carrying the series on, obviously after Christmas, where I think we should be able to broadcast all 5 rounds, because it's really annoying when we don't get all 5 rounds for each half of the season. It does really break everything up a little bit. It's a bit of a shame, and I know it's my fault. But hopefully next month we'll be able to seal out the full 5 rounds. It'll be really awesome. And as I said, I have a little bit of a surprise coming your way on the 29th. So he might make the next broadcast of the 6th round of the PMR Cup series a little bit more interesting. It'll be good fun. But yeah, as the 45-minute, about to hit 46 minutes actually, we're watching Matt Allen. I think it's fair to say it's probably the right thing to do. Jeff Perkins has actually caught up to Michael Seal quite a lot, and we'll just have a look at maybe what's cracking with Michael Seal right now. Yeah, very close to each other, but we can't really take our eyes off Matt Allen, because as he comes through bomb hole and goes around Coram, He deserves the at least 1.5, 2 laps of screen time, something he hasn't got. Colin Martin. Oh, yeah, he is still going. I thought he was broken out. But as he comes around the final corner there, Matt Allen, for the second time this evening, comes out the corner with no one in front of him across the start-finish line. He's going to take the victory. He flashes the lights as he takes the checkered flag for the second time on the PMR Round 5 PMR Cup, Porsche Cup. I've gotten it mixed up, but you know what I mean. You've been watching it for the last 2 hours. Matt Allen takes the second checkered flag as he took the first. Dave Newsham comes across in second place with David Ward in third. Very similar to how they finished in the first race, actually. And as we're waiting for all the drivers to come across the line now. Got a couple of drivers. This is Lee Horn, and Jamie Lee Horn, I think, is just letting Jamie go through. So Jamie doesn't have to do another lap. Yep, there we go. They both cross the line. They give each other a little nudge off onto the circuit, onto the Armco as well. I think that was Jamie on Lee Horn. Michael Seal coming across then. Not the best race for him, although it did look entertaining. He looked like he was fighting throughout the entire race. Jeff Perkins just behind then. Not able to take advantage of the fact that he caught Michael up really close at the end. Ollie Wayne as well, another driver who seems to be getting pushed around. I'm not sure by who, to be honest. I'm Matt Addy. So the unfortunate thing is, none of their numbers actually join up with the numbers that I've got on the screen. I think that, no, that's Sam Holman. Hold on. Ollie Wayne has ran out of fuel here. He wasn't expecting to go 26 laps. Matt Allen started the last lap of the race. Matt Addy goes past, I think that was. And Ollie Wayne actually ran out of fuel, and he's getting a very nice little bump from Sam Holman, who is a good 10 laps down. But there we go. Ollie Wayne finishing the race under somebody else's power. I'm not sure if that is legal in real life racing, but very entertaining to see. Good sportsmanship as well by Sam Holman. He's probably chatting to each other in the Discord. But let's have a look at the results then for the second race of the evening, if it's allowing me to see them. There we go. Matt Allen took the race victory then, 10 seconds ahead of Dave Newsham, who did take the fastest lap, but not the overall race win. Dave Ward ended with 2 third places. A good solid evening's work for him. Lee Horn was in 4th, a lot better evening's work. It's race 2 for him than it was race 1. Colin Martin in 5th place. Michael Seal in 6th. Jeff Perkins in 7th. Matthew Addy in 8th. Jochen Siggert in 9th. 10th was Simon Clayton. Ollie Wayne was in 11th in the end. Jamie Doyle was a lap down in 12th. Sam Holman, pushing Ollie Wayne across the line, was in 13th, 8 laps down. Thomas Delaney, 14 laps down. Freddie Hewitt is 20 laps down. Chris Knox was 25 laps down. And Neil Memory was also 25 laps down. And didn't actually manage to make the start at all. There we go. I hope you have enjoyed the evening. I thank everyone who's been leaving a like, a follow, a subscribe, a comment. It's all been absolutely wicked. I hope you're feeling Christmassy. I tried to decorate the place up a little bit. I wanted green tinsel to go with Master Chief, but I couldn't get any. And then I just didn't want to overheat the PS5 or Xbox. I didn't bother with that. But I hope you're feeling Christmassy. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Please all stay safe. The last thing we want to do is go into another lockdown, even though it might mean more sim racing. But the last thing we want to do is obviously hear about anybody who's not been able to take part, or any family members who have been affected in the comments or anything like that. So please, over Christmas, stay as safe as you can. If in doubt, race it out. Sit on the sim and just race. That's all you have to do. But brilliant to have everybody along. Great racing as always. Great commentary as always. Thank you very much, Katie. Brilliant job, Jack, there. Well done. Love it. So Chocolate Cozzy as well. Thank you very much, guys. We'll be back. There's a break next week, but on Monday... No, we don't have anything on Monday, but on Tuesday there's a BSI MX-5 Pro Series, and that's the last thing before Christmas. That's actually the reason why I'm not actually going home for Christmas until after that. But then, obviously, next Friday is Christmas itself. The Friday after that, we'll be back with another round of the Porsche PMR Cup Series, round 6, at a track that I do not remember off the top of my head. But we'll see you soon. Thank you very much all for watching, and I'll see you later.